In this video, I'm going to dive into a complete walkthrough to apply for Parent Super Visa in Canada. So if you are looking to file one, let's get started. But before we jump into it, if you are still undecided whether to go for a visitor's visa or a super visa application, so check out my video here. The link is also in the description. I have busted some common myths about super visa. Once you are convinced, you can either come back here to watch the complete video or you can go to the visitor's visa application video. You will find all the links in the description below. Alright, now you are all set to applying for super visa today, so let's get started. For those who are new to the channel, hi, I am Raj, your go-to guy for finance and immigration related things in Canada. First up, let's talk about eligibility. So, your parent or grandparent may be eligible for super visa if you are either a PR or Canadian citizen, you are at least 18 years of old and are currently living in Canada, you have enough income to cover your existing family plus your parent or grandparent. That means if you are single and inviting both your parents, you need to meet the minimum income requirement for a family size of 3, and if you have a spouse living with you as well, you need to meet the income requirement of family size of 4. And if you have kids, you can increase that number as well. And don't forget, you will also need an invitation letter promising financial support for their visit. And if you need a template for that, head over to my website. You will find that template and many other templates like that one. Now, quick reminders, your parents can't be in Canada at the time when you apply on visitor's visa. If they are currently in Canada on their visitor's visa, they have to head back home because it is an outland application. Also, they will need to pass a medical exam, just like how you do it for study or the work permits. Now, if you meet the initial requirements, let's talk about insurance. The health insurance coverage of your parents must be either from a Canadian insurance company, or if it's from outside Canada, it has to be approved by IRCC. They have not yet provided any further details about the outside Canada coverage. So don't fall for traps and try to cover from Canada. And here is the deal with the policy itself. You have to get a 1 year of coverage policy to apply for the visa. You can tweak it or cancel it later once the visa is granted if your parents are not planning to travel on the same dates you have mentioned for the visa. The insurance should cover the health condition, hospitalization, as well as repatriation. Most super visa plans covers all these things, so no need to stress. The minimum coverage at the time of filming this video is $100,000, but hey, always double check for the updates. I'm providing the link in the description. Alright, now that we have covered the basics, let's dive into the application process. And meanwhile, you can drop any questions you have in the comment section below and I will try my best to help you out. Now here we are going to the new IRCC portal, so if you do not have an account for this, let's get the invitation code. So I'll click on the invitation code, I'll enter my email address and we'll continue to the portal to sign up.
A few moments later.
Now once the sign up is complete, we will try to log in. Once you are inside, you will have to accept the terms and condition, and these are the general information which you don't need to worry about. If you have an existing IRCC account, create with a GC key or sign-in partner. Alright, so here as you can see, we have to select apply to visit, study or work in Canada as a temporary resident, okay, because our parents are going to visit. And do make sure that this has to be filled by your parents and not yourself, so do not feel like you are filling it for them. I think it might be a little bit harder being yourself as a representative for your parents' file. Instead, just create an account on your parents, one of your parents' name. Now we'll start the application. Do you want to apply for more than one person at the same time? Yes, in case if both your parents are going to apply for super visa, I would suggest to do that. So I will do this in this case for my parents, both mom and dad. We'll select the group as family and we'll create the name as family as well. Okay, so now as you can see, I have 60 days to submit the application. I can add the members here. Okay, so as you can see, now 2 members in this application. You can fill in the details. I will provide you with the details. I will not go through the personal information much, but will explain to you every single thing you need to know about this visa application. Okay, so we'll continue. We'll say it's a visitor visa or a spouse visa. Why do you need a visa? You can choose based on whatever matters to you, right? For super visa, you will have to select this option, to visit my children or grandchildren for more than 6 months. Here, as you will already have the insurance coverage with you, and you would probably have the plane tickets to show that you have a strong intention for your parents to come to Canada, please provide the details and some dates here. So here you can create an itinerary. If you need an itinerary template as well, please check out my website. There you can find the itinerary template. Do add all the dates, what they are going to do, how much time they are going to spend, even if it means that 1, 2 or 3 months they are going to just stay at home and relax and spend time with you, you can totally do that as a part of itinerary. Okay, so do not worry, do not stress about what you should be writing. Just write whatever is truth and why they are going to come and what they are going to do when they come. So when you will enter Canada, this is basically your parents, right? So let's say they are going to enter in 2024, let's say April 1st, and they are going to leave on 2025 March 31st. Now here, as you can see, that even though you have plans for your parents to stay in Canada for less than 6 months, but because you are applying for super visa, you are providing some information to the immigration officer that, hey, their plan is for more than 6 months and that's why we are applying for super visa, right? Because if you do less than 6 months, they might not consider you as eligible for super visa. So rather provide the full length for whatever time you have provided the super visa insurance, because anyways you need 1 year of insurance. There is no harm in providing 1 year of complete detail. Anyone, if you are doing a plane ticket, let's say a plane ticket is just an itinerary, then you can do one-way ticket as well, because no one gets a full 1 year of return ticket, right? And that's totally fine. And if they already have a visitor's visa, let's say, or any other way they have a UCI number already with them, then please add that here. This is for one parent only at this point of time, and then we can return back to group table by clicking on this. Okay, so we'll save and continue for now. So we have selected super visa, as you can see. And as of July 4th, 2022, a super visa lets parents and grandparents stay up to 5 years at a time with a multiple entry visits of up to 10 years. So that is already guaranteed to you by the government, right? These are all the requirements which we already just discussed. We will continue to the application. Are you applying on behalf of someone else? Now here, as I said, that if you are planning to be a representative of your parents, you can say yes. But here in this case, I'm mostly going to keep it simple by saying that my dad is the primary applicant and my mother is the secondary applicant. Okay, so I'll just say no. And then we'll go into the personal details here, which is the last name, the given name as per the passport, the date of birth and gender. So we'll just put something, and the type of document they are going to travel with, which will be most likely a passport. And we can say it's a regular passport. Provide the country. Here I'm going to select India just for the simplicity, because my parents are holding Indian passport. We'll provide all the details here. Now the question here, are you a lawful permanent resident of United States? Going to select no for the simplicity. Have you held a Canadian visitor visa in last 10 years? If your parents already have a visitor's visa, you could select yes, or you could select no in most cases. If you do not have a valid non-immigrant visa to US, you can say no. If you have a non-immigrant visa, then you'll have to just provide the immigration visa number and expiry date. That just makes your application way easier, because Canada and US do share the immigration details with each other, and this actually helps them to create a simpler file. So we'll say no here for now. Are you traveling by air? Yes. If you're not traveling by air, you can say no. Continue. The next one is citizenship or places where applicant has lived. In this case, if your parents were not always situated in the home country but they were traveling, you'll have to provide all the details. Otherwise, just provide the country where they were born. Okay, so in this case, I'll just put India for now. If they are citizen of multiple countries, you'll have to say yes. Otherwise, you'll have to say no. The next one is, do you have a valid national identity document? Not all countries has it. If some countries have it, they can add it. But for keeping it simple, I'm just going to say no. Have you used any other name in the past? Now in this case, if let's say your parents had a different name at some point of time and they changed the names and they had a legal document associated with the name, you'll have to do that. Otherwise, just say no. To keep it simple, I'm going to say no here. Next is the residential address. Is this your mailing address? Yes. So in the past 5 years, if your parents have changed the address, which will be mostly unlikely for most people, you will have to add that here as well, right? Otherwise, you only need to add one here, right? And save and continue. So in case if your parents have already given biometrics for a visitor's visa, then you can say yes. But otherwise, most cases it will be no. They will be required to give biometric to the nearest VFS most likely, or the Immigration Office of Canada. So this will be most likely the case that they will have to give the biometrics. We'll save and continue. who is inviting you. So this is going to be your details. Okay, so we'll just provide my details here, for example, and you can completely use the same email address. That's not going to harm you in any way. We can select no. Has someone else invited you? We'll continue from here. How much money do you have for a stay in Canada? We can say somewhere around the lines of $15,000. You can say that my child is going to support my financial needs in Canada, and that's totally viable because it's a super visa, so you should not be worried about it. Okay, if your parents do have some education, post-secondary education, then they will have to add it here. Otherwise you can totally say no. If they have a military or police history in a civil defense, you'll have to say yes and provide all the details here. Otherwise just say no. Previously all these forms used to be manual PDF forms and you just have to upload it, but now they have done everything online, which is easier for them to even track. So this is great. This is great for everyone. You'll have to give details of the last 10 years of employment activities, which would be basically any occupation, would include a business they were doing or a job they were doing, but you cannot leave any day of gap in last 10 years. Okay, so add that here. So I'll just add one for the sake of simplicity. I'm adding homemaker. Okay, or you can also say retired. That's totally fine. Save and continue. During last 5 years, have you traveled to a country other than the one where you are citizen or where you live? So in case if your parents were traveling outside their home country, you will have to provide details of the countries which they traveled. If they did not, then you can just say no. For the simplicity, I'm not going to add that information because it's all personal. The next thing is again the travel history continued. If they ever stayed in Canada, what was the validity of the status, whether it was an authorized stay or non-authorized stay, they'll have to provide that details. You can just say no for the simplicity. Have they ever been refused, denied to leave any country, not just Canada, but refusal of visa, let's say a US visa refusal or a Canadian visa refusal or any other country's visa refusal, has to be added here and provide details about all those things in this particular section. You can obviously extend this as you need. Okay, so I'm just going to say no for now. The next thing is about criminal and security activity. Most likely it will be no for everything unless there are issues. In that case, of course, a super visa will not be granted for any criminal or security activities or history in past. So I'll just say no for everything. Now before we continue, if you are interested in more such videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. Have you had a medical exam performed by IRCC physician in last 12 months? If your parents already have done the medical examination, which I asked that you should do it before filing the application, you can just provide the number here, which will be written in the medical e-medical receipt form. Okay, that will make it easier. Then they don't have to wait for additional time. As I said, their visa can be granted within 30 days only if all these things are done before filing the application, right? Otherwise it just stretches the time. So in this case, let's say we have already done it and then we just provide the details. In last 2 years, were you diagnosed with TB? So if this is the case, you'll have to say yes and provide more details. For simplicity, I'm going to just say no for both. The next piece here is about the medical background question, right? So if they have received any dialysis, currently receiving dialysis or not, if they have or had any drug, alcohol addiction and needed to be hospitalized, if they had any medical mental condition for which they need to be hospitalized, if they have ever been diagnosed with syphilis, which is known for Lewis or pox, but you can provide the details. Basically have a medication for this if you had a previous treatment of syphilis. You need to show the proof of that for admitting yourself in Canada. So I'll just say no. Save and continue. And please make sure that these questions may change as you are navigating through the application in future, because the medical conditions and the acceptability in Canada keeps changing with each passing year as the new diseases and new conditions emerges in the medical industry. So please fill according to your own profile. I'm just trying to walk you through the entire application to make sure that there are some common things which are answered and you don't have to struggle while filling out this form. Okay, now before we continue, I would really appreciate if you could like the video, because it will help others who are trying to fill out the super visa application for their parents and might help them get the approval quicker. Let's continue. What is your current marital status? Let's say married. Then we'll have to provide provide the date of marriage, name of the spouse, right? Same address as you, yes. Will your spouse accompany you to Canada? Yes, because I'm filing for both. In case if it's just one parent, you can totally say no. Do you have any biological children? Yes, you can say yes, and then provide the details of yourself or any siblings you have. So let's say I'm just providing my details here. You can provide your Canadian address just because that's what you have provided, right? Okay, just because I am already in Canada and I'm inviting, I have said no, I'm not going to accompany them because I'm already in Canada. Okay, you can add all your siblings here. You will have to, you cannot deny that, right? Just that's how they create the family applications, which probably you would have done at the time of filing your PR, so they will match their records as well. So do make sure that you are providing all the details there, and they have to, your parents will have to provide the details of their parents, right? So I'm just providing some details. The parents are deceased, obviously most likely they will be. If they are not, then provide more details about them. Otherwise it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, just provide the details, save and continue. So that was more about the family. Now the language of the applicant. So native language, what's your native language? For me, I would just say Gujarati because that's my native language. Can you communicate in English language? You can say yes, if your parents can do a little bit of English language speaking, or you can just say neither. That's totally fine as well because they are coming on super visa and no one expecting them to speak. But in case if a border officer is trying to communicate, they can get a translator for them. Okay, now we'll just have to provide the email address, save and continue. We'll just provide the telephone number. You can completely provide your telephone number for the mode of contact, and that's totally fine because in 99% of the cases they never contact you. Okay, now basically these were all the questions they asked. You can review it yourself. Okay, if you reviewed everything, you can save and continue. Here is where you have to upload the documents. The first one is the letter of invitation. They have provided the details on what the letter of invitation should include. The most important details here are basically a signed promise of the financial support and the proof that the income meets low income cutoff, which is the minimum income requirement, including the visiting parents and the existing family, right? The letter of invitation should also state the purpose and length of stay, the nature of the relationship, and the contact information, and whether they are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. I have provided all this detail in the template I have created, so please go check out my website in case if you are interested to get that template. Next is the proof of income, right? So this one for your child or grandchild, as I said, T4 is needed, NOA is needed. So you'll have to provide all those files here. You'll have to provide the passport details of your parent. You'll have to provide the funds. Okay, if you won't be getting financial support from someone, which is not true. So if you are going to get the financial support, we'll have to provide the bank statements and other proofs, job, which will be covered. So you don't need much in this. Okay, if you have any other questions on the funds, do let me know in the comment section. You'll have to provide the relationship proof, basically a marriage certificate of your parents. Let's say if your parents don't have a marriage certificate, then they can also create an affidavit through the local notary, and that will be counted as a marriage certificate. You will have to upload the marriage certificate. Okay, then the medical insurance proof. Again, it has to be coverage of at least 1 year of Canadian insurance company, as they are saying right now, because they have not yet provided information about the foreign insurance companies which can be covered. Okay, so the optional document is the consent personal information form in case if you are using representative. The employer letter is what you need if you are helping out your parents, right? And if there are any other additional document which you think will be helpful, you'll have to provide all those details. And after that will be the fees section, the consent declaration section, and finally it will complete. You can go back to the group table again and fill out the same thing for your another parent. Okay, it will be same details all the way through, and you can finally complete the application likewise. I'm not going through the other details here because without uploading the documents it will not let me through, but I hope that this is so far so much helpful to you, and I have been providing details about each and every section throughout the video. But if you still have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via my email or through the comment section here. I'll try my best to help you out. And if you need any further consultation and if you need to book an appointment, my calendar link is also in the description, so feel free to check that out as well. So congratulations on finishing the application. All the best with your parent super visa, and please let me know in the comments if you are approved. Until then, I will see you in the next one.